Hello, friends. Happy Wednesday. And welcome to my live launch party for the Stampin' Up! 2025 September-December mini catalog and the September 2025 online exclusive releases. Now, I am so excited about tonight. I have so much to share with you. It was actually really hard to pick and choose what I was going to share. I could go on because there are so many absolutely gorgeous products in this catalog and in the online exclusives. So I'm going to show you a little bit from both. I certainly can't show you all, but I have lots of product to share. I have lots of samples to share. We're going to make 6 projects together. We're going to have some fun. I have a giveaway that I will talk about in a minute. So lots and lots of things to share. So you want to grab yourself your favorite beverage, get yourself comfy, maybe tell your family to go away and give you some peace for a couple of hours because I have lots to share. So if you are joining me live tonight or you are catching the replay, please comment and let me know where you are watching from. It's always nice to know that somebody out there is watching what I'm doing. It feels a little awkward to sit and talk to myself. Mind you, I was a teacher for 30 years, so I'm used to talking to myself, right? All right, let me just see who's joining us here tonight. We've got Jeannie K. Yes, Jeannie K. put an order in already today. Yes, I saw that. Thank you for your order, Jeannie K. Hi, Lisa. Welcome. Hi, Crystal and Deb. Welcome. Couldn't find me on Facebook. Yeah, I have to say, Facebook is not playing nicely. It's really not liking the live stream anymore. Like I think they're making them all real or something. Anyway, thank goodness for YouTube. So if you're having trouble getting it to play properly on Facebook, hop on over to YouTube, and you probably will have better luck there. Oh, Louise is watching on Facebook. That's good to know. Yes, tell Rusty to go lie down. All right, we've got Charlie and Terry Gale. Hello, welcome, Dorothy. All right, I'm going to flip to my desk to show you what our giveaway is tonight and tell you how you can be in the drawing for our giveaway, and then we're going to get to it. So let me just flip to my desk here. There we go. So here's that beautiful catalog. I finally can show you the inside of it. I hope everyone has a copy of the catalog. You'll probably want to have it handy, maybe some sticky notes so you can mark your sort of must-haves. I certainly have lots of things marked, and then I also have lots I'm going to show you from the online exclusives. But first, let me show you our giveaway tonight. So tonight, I am giving away to all of my Canadian, to one Canadian viewer, not all. Sorry, don't get excited. One lucky Canadian viewer who comments tonight will receive the Joyful Tidings stamp set. So I will do a random draw for everyone who comments. So the more you comment, the greater the likelihood that you will be chosen. So be sure to let me know what you think as you're seeing all these fabulous products. Now, US viewers, I haven't forgotten you. I am going to do a giveaway for you as well. You are going to receive one of each of the projects I demonstrate tonight. So I'm making 6 projects tonight, and I will send you the make and takes that I demonstrate. Does that sound good? Okay, so one winner in Canada will receive the Joyful Tidings stamp set, and one winner in the US will receive all 6 of the cards I demonstrate. Okay, all right, let's get down to business. I'll get this out of the way, and we're going to start with my probably very favorite suite in the catalog. You all know that I am a huge, well, maybe you don't all know. If you've been hanging around for any length of time, you know that I am a huge fan of fall. I love autumn. I love pumpkins. I love all the things fall. So the Autumn Toile suite was like right at the top of my must-have list. It is an absolutely gorgeous suite. It's a mega suite. You'll find it starting on page 39 of the catalog. I'm going to show you all the projects and then tell you about a fabulous new class to go that I'm offering as well. So let me pull out all of my goodies here. So much to share with you. All right, so let's start with the bundle. So this, as I mentioned, is a mega suite. So a mega suite means that we have 2 bundles in the suite. So we have one, the Autumn Trees bundle, which is more sort of nature inspired, image only. So no sentiments in the autumn trees stamp set. And then this beautiful set of die. So this large tree die, I will show you a project where I've used this large die in a few minutes. And then we've got some open dies that cut out our stamped images. This tree actually also cuts this large stamped tree. But if you use it with the insert, you get a detail tree. And then cute little mama, deer, and baby down there at the bottom. So a beautiful bundle. And then we also have the Amber Autumn stamp set. I absolutely love the stamp set. The artwork in this set is fantastic. This is why I love Stampin' Up, because their artists are absolutely fantastic. So if we've got our pumpkins, we've got our acorns, and then we've got some lovely sentiments in very pretty fonts. And then I have to say, this detailed leaf die, this background die, is what sold me on this. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, yep, gotta have that one. Beautiful. I'll show you some projects that use that one. And then we've got our open dies that cut out our stamped images. So that is those are the two bundles in the suite. Now we also have a gorgeous DSP. So the Autumn Toile DSP. So Toile typically has nature scenes on it. So this beautiful paper is very, very Toile inspired. So we have sort of a forest scene with deer, and then we have pheasants. This just makes me think of this image here makes me think of up where my parents live, because it's very rocky and they have the evergreens and there are pheasants all over the place up there. We have this beautiful pumpkin patch and cornfields pattern. We've got some foxes. So this pack of DSP is a little bit different. Normally we have 6 sheets, 6 double-sided sheets with 2 of each. This pack actually has 4 sheets and 3 of each. So it's a little bit different. Great for mass producing. So those are the 4 patterns on the front. And then on the back, we have beautiful sort of more neutral patterns. This stripe is terrific for, actually all of these are great for masculine cards. We've got this basic gray, not basic gray, gray granite. We've got some vines. And then finally, the grid. So just great sort of more neutral patterns. Great for masculine cards. Love them. And then, of course, we have this stunning specialty paper. It's catching all of my lights. You can see all the lights I use when I go live. So this is called Earthen Tones Metallic Specialty Paper. Absolutely gorgeous. And it's like a rich sort of between Pecan Pie and Early Espresso. So it's like a deep copper. It's just beautiful. So that is the paper. And then we also have some embellishments, of course. So we have these street dots embellishments. So I will show you these up close when I do the make and take, because I'm going to use them on the make and take and you can see them a little bit better. They're really pretty. They're kind of like a marbly effect in sort of medium shades of brown. They're very, very pretty. And then we have this irregular weave trim, which is so much fun to play with. It is quite stiff. When you take it off the roll, you can see that it's almost like paper. But in order to soften it up, you just take your bone folder and work it a little bit. And you take the starch out of it. And then it's easy to and pliable to tie and use as you would any other ribbon. So that is the suite. Let me show you some projects. So here we go. So this is one I actually didn't even use the Autumn Toile paper. I focused on the stamp set, stamped it on crumb cake cardstock, and then colored it with my watercolor pencils. And then used some die cut leaves. And there's my trim that I've tied into a little bow. And there are those pretty embellishments. Isn't it pretty? Here is that gorgeous detailed leaf die cut. I used it as my card front. I layered it, actually popped it up against that sort of forest scene pattern from the DSP pack. And then I heat embossed my oak leaves, and I actually colored them with, these are actually stamped on watercolor paper. And then I colored them with just a little bit of ink and a water painter. Okay, so that's that one. And then this one is a cute little swap I received just today, actually. So this actually uses DSP from the next suite I'm going to show you, but it does use some of the die cuts from the Autumn Trees dies. And then this embossing folder you're going to see in a minute. So I will not say anything more about that one. And then here is that large tree die. So I've used it here. This is a fun fold. It's a double Z. So I've used the Z panels at the top and the bottom, left a gap there so that I kind of framed my little scene. I'm not sure how well it shows up on the camera. We've got mama and baby deer there. But makes a great fall birthday card. And then of course on the back, we've got our space to write our greeting. Now I am actually collaborating with a US demonstrator on a class to go using this suite. It's kind of a build your own, choose your own adventure, build your own class. You can choose from a set of 4 cards, 9x9 sampler, or 2 double scrapbook layouts. And you can kind of decide what you want to use. So it's a beautiful class. I'm so excited about it. I can't show it to you because it's a secret, not a secret, but it's a surprise. And it is available now on my website. So if you go to my Stampin' Up website, which is actually scrolling along the bottom, no, it's not. That's my actually online store. If you go to my lenagrossa.stampinup.net, you will find a link to register for that class. It is beautiful. All right, now we're going to make a card using this suite. Here's the one we're going to make. This was literally made using a whole bunch of scraps of DSP I had left over when I was designing that class to go. So we are going to start with a piece of Pecan Pie cardstock. It is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to stamp this oak leaf image from the Amber Autumn set all over it using Pecan Pie ink. So tone on tone. So we're just kind of trying to get the leaves. I'm not really worried too much about the acorns. I just kind of want to get around the edges with the leaves. I may do one big full image in the middle, but I'm most concerned with getting the leaves around the edges. And then I'll kind of do this. Those leaves or acorns are going to get covered, but there we go. That's all that it needed. Just some subtle texture, but look at how beautiful that image is. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh, love it. All right. Next up, we've got 3 different pieces of DSP. So these are literally were just scraps that were lying on my desk. And I'm like, what can I do with these? I know, let's just make it, let's just layer them. So this piece is 3 by 2.5. I think I said 2 1/4 on my measurements in the video description. I will adjust that later on so that you don't get the wrong. Literally, you can use whatever size scrap you've got. So I'm going to put this portrait orientation, I don't know, about 3/4 of an inch in from that right edge. Okay. Then I have a 1 by 5 1/4 inch strip that is going to run right across like that. So again, just a little bit of seal. And we'll pop this one on. There we go. And then this piece is 2 by 3.5. And we're going to layer that onto this rectangle is die cut using the textured notes dies. So we're going to sort of frame it on there like that. So away we go. Pop that on there. And I love the sort of detailed texture on the edge of this frame. Makes it look a little bit rustic. So that's going to go on just about there. So I'm going to kind of have a little bit more or a little bit smaller border on the left side than I do on the right. It's only because I was playing with scraps. I really was not measuring when I was designing this. It was just a bunch of odd bits that were laying around. And I'm like, what can we do with this? Because it's easier to use them than try and find a place to store them. So use them. All right. So there we go. That's sort of our base. And then, oh, Cheryl's here from Texas. Welcome. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for your kind words about my retirement. I'm quite enjoying it. It has been a busy few days getting ready for tonight. And getting ready for, we're supposed to be going away on Friday for a week. I should stop talking and okay. You're here to listen to me or to watch me stamp. So this label, you're going to see the dies where this came from right at the end of tonight, but it is the traditional labels dies. I've die cut it from very vanilla cardstock, and I'm stamping one of the sentiments from the Amber Autumn stamp set in early espresso ink. It fits perfectly on this label. There we go. I'm not going to talk about the fact that my son is sick and my cat is sick and we may not be able to go on our trip. All right. Now I have a whole bunch of little die cut bits. I've got some leaves. These leaves are from the Amber Autumn dies. These little sort of the veining on the leaves, you can save those and use them as like twigs, right? On your arrangements. I'm not going to do that on this particular card, but you certainly can. All right. So we're going to take and put a little bit of seal on the back of our label. And I'm going to start with my center image. So I'm using this Cajun Craze leaf. And then I'm going to add a mossy meadow above. I'm going to add this little bit of grass in Pecan Pie. Because I need some more adhesive. Add that. And then we're going to add another another mossy meadow leaf, sort of down here. And then this is actually meant to be like a little bush or a little tree, but it kind of works as just like a twiggy branch in an arrangement. So that's what I'm using it, how I'm using it here. So I'm just going to kind of stick it in behind just to add a little extra texture. How easy is that, right? Now, this trim, I'm actually attaching it to the back of my label. So it's going to pop up a little bit on the front of my card. So I'm going to just run some seal right across. I'm going to lay my trim down and I'm going to just kind of lay my label over top to pick up the trim. And then I'm going to just trim it at a bit of an angle. So there's 1 and 2. Oh, trimmed off too much on that end. That's okay. All right, we'll add a couple of dimensionals. Here we go. I think we're going to put one more down there. Let's make sure that stays put. Hi, Suzanne from Wisconsin. Welcome. Glad you could join me. And we're going to pop that on right about there. And then we're going to adhere that to a Pecan Pie card base at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. You're going to hear those dimensions a lot tonight because most of my card bases are the same measurements. I wasn't even aware until I started typing the instructions. I was on a roll with 5.5 by 8.5 card bases this week. So we're just going to pop that. Oh, I forgot my early espresso layer. Oh, well. I forgot to cut my layer here. Do you see that? Look at that. I actually kind of like it without. What do you think? With the early espresso mat or without? I kind of like both. You can comment and tell me what you think. In the meantime, I'm going to put some of these streaked dots onto my card. There, now you can get a better look at them. They're so, so pretty. And they work with any shade of brown, really, because they've got lots of different shades in them. They're kind of marbly. So I'm going to add a couple of these to my project here. There we go. And done. Quick and easy. Yeah. What do you think? With espresso or without? Oh, Lisa likes the extra matte. Deb likes it without. All right. Okay. Keep telling me what you think. Oh, Charlie likes without. See? It was a happy accident. All right, so that's number 1 done. I'm going to make some space here because my desk is rather crowded tonight. And we're going to move on to our next suite. What is next on my list? Oh, yes, more fall. Are you surprised? Okay. So this is an online exclusive suite. So it is so easy to miss the online exclusives when they launch at the same time as a catalog, right? Everybody's so excited about the catalog and forgets that, oh my goodness, there's a whole bunch of goodness that is just online. So I love this suite. I actually just cracked it open yesterday. Somehow, I don't know how, I missed ordering this. I honestly don't know how I did that because it's so beautiful and I so love fall. So I just got it, and I just cracked it open yesterday, and oh my goodness, I'm absolutely in love with it. I wanted to just sit and play with it, but I couldn't because I had to get ready for tonight. So I have lots more ideas for this suite, but right now, let me show you this gorgeous paper. Look at this paper. It has champagne foil, which is really just a lighter shade of gold. It's almost like a white gold. And so we've got there's a white background with the leaf pattern and then a basic beige background, a little bit more rustic. This pattern is so pretty. It doesn't look like much on the camera, but it's got like really, really detailed like leaves and acorns and mushrooms, just itty bitty. It's very hard to show you. Let me just see if I can get it. Can you see all the detail in there? It's just so pretty. And then we've got plaid. So lovely. And then this one as well, there's a white background, but a little bit more subdued in terms of color palette. So we've got the basic beige, early espresso, and Cajun craze in that one. And then we've got an old olive stripe with the foiling. And then of course, when we flip over, we've got slightly more toned down patterns. We've got a sort of a leafy pattern that actually coordinates with the embossing folder I'll show you in a minute. We've got this wash in basic beige. We've got a fun plaid. We've got this early espresso. It's kind of like it looks like little pebbles almost. And then this is basic beige again. It's kind of like a texture. And then we've got like a bark or wash pattern in early espresso. So just beautiful paper. Whoopsie, I'm throwing it around here. And then we've got a fantastic bundle. I am so excited about these large leaves. There are so many things you can do with them. I have just scratched the surface. I will show you some projects in a minute, but oh my, I can't wait till I have more time to play. So this is the die set. So we have these large open leaves, or you can use them with this detail die, which cuts holes that you can use for stitching. I will show you a project in a minute. And then we have some open dies that cut out the adorable images in the stamp set. So this is a distinctive stamp set. It is a cling mount, and it has, so we get the layering, right? We get the shading, and it's just so, so pretty to stamp with. And then of course, really pretty sentiments really great sentiments in a pretty font. So that is the bundle. And then we have the Gathering Leaves embossing folder. So I'm not sure. Let me see. There you go. It's the same pattern as that Cajun craze, just little itty bitty oak leaves. I like little small patterns. And then we have these Cajun craze and gold dots. So these are the embellishments. So they're Cajun craze with gold glitter. What's not to like? And then we also have a 2-pack of linen thread in Old Olive and Early Espresso. You get 10 yards of each. And so they're intended to be used with these dies so you can do some stitching. But I mean, they make great embellishments as well. Oh, Gina K, you're going to love this suite so much when you get your hands on it. I'm so glad you ordered it. All right, let me show you some projects. Move this out of the way. Okay, I mentioned I just got my hands on this yesterday, right? So I couldn't stop playing with it. So here we go. This is just a really toned down, just a little bit of the gold foiling on this one. But look how pretty those leaves are stamped. So lovely. And then here is one where I did some stitching. So I die cut my leaf in basic beige and then stitched. I just threaded a needle. That was a challenge. It's been a while since I've threaded a needle. I am much blinder than I used to be with some of the linen thread, and just did a little running stitch on my leaf. And then here's one. I used the large oak leaf and die cut it and then popped it up against one of the sort of more busy leaf patterns to create my arrangement. Here is a super simple design that just focuses on the stamps. And then I use some of the metallic rub-ons just to add a little bit of shimmer there. And then this one, I haven't even taken it out of the envelope yet. This was a swap I received just this week. Uses the large oak leaf just as sort of a backdrop for the sentiment. And there you can see the embossing folder in the background. All right. Okay. So we are going to make a project using this beautiful suite because, you know, I'm all about the fall. So let's get this out of the way and we'll pull in our supplies for this one. Okay, so this is the card we're going to make. Isn't it pretty? Like, look at the gorgeous leaves. Oh, we're like 3 weeks away from like autumn color here, and I cannot wait. Get all my bits out. All right, so let's start with this large leaf. So here we go. There it is. I die cut it from basic beige cardstock and embossed it using the Gathering Leaves embossing folder. And we are going to now apply a little bit of ink to the edges just to soften it down and help it stand out against that busy background. So we're going to start with some basic beige. We're going to do tone on tone. So I'll just pick some up and I'm just going to come around. Now this is going to look quite green initially. Basic beige looks green when you stamp it, when the ink is wet. Once it's dry, it looks like basic beige. But right now it's going to look green. It's not green. Trust me, it's basic beige. Okay, so I'm just coming all the way around the edges of my leafy here. There we go. That's really pretty as it is. But we're going to add more because, you know, I like to blend color. I'm going to bring in my early espresso. And we're going to do just the very edges. I'm not going to come on too far with the espresso here. I want to keep it nice and light as I make my way around. I don't want to cover up all of that basic beige that I already put down. So we're just going to work our way around. Now, as these two colors sort of blend and the ink dries, we're going to get a really pretty shade of brown. And look at how pretty the embossed pattern is as we hit it with the darker ink. I got a little heavy-handed down here when I first started. Oh, well, it's a little burnt. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. All right. I'm going to keep this out because I'm going to need that to stamp in a minute. All right, so I have my piece of DSP. This is 4 by 5¼ inches. And I am going to adhere my leaf so that my leaves are all facing right side up. Okay, so it's going to go just at a little bit of an angle here. So we're going to glue that on flat. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue just because this is embossed and I don't want to tear my already weakened cardstock. There we go. And then I have a little strip. This is 3/4 by 4 inches of that sort of Cajun craze leafy patterned DSP. So this is why I wanted to make sure my leaves went the right side up, because it really drives me crazy when you have the same pattern that's going in all which way. So that's the OCD in me. If you don't care, you don't need to worry about which way your leaves are going on your large leaf. Me, I'm just a little bit of a control freak about that kind of stuff. So there you go. You're learning more about me than you ever wanted to. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of glue to the back of our strip here. And this is going to go on about 3/4 inch up from the bottom. So right about there. But you see how they overlap? And it would be really annoying if those leaves didn't go the same direction. Just saying. Okay, we're going to stamp our sentiment. What does it say? Expressing heartfelt gratitude in early espresso ink. And I've got to grab my punch because I forgot to set that one out. But for now, we'll start by stamping. And I have inky fingers somehow, so I am getting fingerprints on my cardstock. All right. Oh, thank you, Leetta. I'm glad you enjoyed my launches. I love putting them together. It's a lot of work, but it's good work, right? It's fun work. I get to do lots of stamping. But yeah, it's always a little frantic getting ready. Now, in the Gathering Leaves stamp set, there is, or what's it called? Gathering Moments stamp set. There's this sort of faded plaid stamp. It's really quite pretty. And I'm going to ink it in Cajun Craze, stamp it off, and then I'm just going to kind of stamp it in behind my sentiment there, just to kind of ground it. And then I'm going to grab my Modern Oval Punch. I forgot to set that out. So here we go. We're going to pop this out. It just fits, like just fits in the punch. There we go. All right, so now we've got all kinds of little bits here. Now, some of these I stamped ahead of time, just to sort of save time, but I did want to stamp one so you can see how beautifully this leaf stamps. I'm going to do my sort of reverse stamping trick here. So I've die cut a blank in white cardstock, and I'm going to ink up my oak leaf here, and then lay my blank over top, and press with another block. Usually I use a larger one, but I think this will be okay. And there we go. Isn't that easy? All right. So now it's just a matter of doing a little bit of leaf arranging instead of floral arranging. Once again, I'm going to arrange everything on the back of my label. That is just how I roll. I just work sort of front to back when I am doing my arrangements. So we're going to start with one of the large oak leaves. We'll start with this guy. It's going to kind of come out the side here. And then these little early espresso berries. And then we'll add a Cajun Craze oak leaf, a little bit more adhesive. No, you know what? That's going to go on top. We will add our other Cajun Craze leaf, and then we're going to add our berries on top, or our, what's this? Oak leaf on top. And I just realized I'm missing an acorn. Okay, we're going to use berries instead. Oh, well, it's all right. We're just going to lay, you know what, we'll tuck those in behind because they look kind of funny on top. There we go. Just like that. There we go. Easy peasy. Now we're going to add some of that early espresso twine, the linen thread. So I'm going to just run a bunch of seal on the back of my little arrangement there. I'm going to take my thread, pinch it between my first two fingers, and then wind it around 3 or 4 times. Okay, and then when I slide them off my fingers, I'm just going to kind of catch the ends because I want to make sure they're sort of on the inside. I don't want my ends kind of hanging out. So now I'm going to hold that, let the loops relax a little bit, stick it down, and then I can arrange a little bit more. But it's much easier to do if you've kind of got it anchored than trying to wrestle with unruly twine. Okay. All right. Let's add some dimensionals here. So lock everything down. I'm almost out of dimensionals again. I tell you, I go through an awful lot of those. Not as many as some people, but enough. All right, this is going to get stuck onto our card front. Right about there looks good. Okay, and then that's going to get adhered to a basic beige card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we're going to pop that on, a little bit of seal. Whoopsie. And there we go. And then I'm going to grab my little Cajun Craze and gold glittery dotty things. What are they called? Cajun Craze and gold dots. I was right. It's not often I'm right. It's nice when it happens. All right. So now if my husband asks, I'm always right. Let's just be clear on that. There are 3 sizes of these. So we've got large, medium, and small. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So you get nice arrangements when you have 3 sizes. All right. On the inside, I just stamped some more leaves, stamped a sentiment. All right. There we go. 2 down. let's clean up the mess again. We don't need these colors anymore, so I can shove them out of the way. And we're going to move on. What's next? Oh, pumpkins. Yay, pumpkins. All right, bear with me. I got to grab another pile. Okay, I mentioned how much I love fallen pumpkins, right? All right, so here we go. Beautiful pumpkins. This is an online exclusive. It is super reasonably priced. I can't remember, but it's a really reasonably priced bundle. Very realistic looking pumpkins when you stamp them. I'm going to show you some samples in a second. They don't look great on the stamp case. In fact, when I looked at them, I'm like, oh, they're not so pretty. But oh my goodness. Wait till you see them stamped. And then just an itty bitty, not an itty bitty, but you know, a modest sized die set, open dies to cut out the stamped pumpkins and stems. And then we've got some extra dies to cut some vines and leaves. And there's also extra dies to cut the stems if you want to die cut stems instead of stamping them. Okay, so that's the bundle. This is super cute. Let me show you some projects. So here we go. Look at those pumpkins. Are they not fantastic? So these are just stamped in pumpkin pie. It's two-step stamping. So this sort of more detailed image, I stamped full strength. The more solid image I stamped off. Okay, super easy to line up, but look how pretty. So gorgeous. Now I'm going to talk about these dies later, so I'm not going to say anything right now, but oh goodness, I love it. And then here's another one. Did a little, this reminds me a little bit of Cinderella's pumpkins in the garden, in the arbor. So this one I used pumpkin pie and Cajun craze just to pull in a bit of the background color. And thank you, Louise. $50.25 in Canada. That's a really good price, Canadians. This is one of those bundles that, oh, okay. And then this is Cinderella before her fairy godmother shows up. And then this is Cinderella after, on her way to the ball. So here is that beautiful DSP from the Gathering Moments suite, the one that was really detailed that was hard to show you. And then I've added some of gorgeous glimmer paper, which I'm going to talk about later. And then stamped pumpkins in basic beige and cloud cover pumpkins. Bet you didn't know you needed those in your life. So pretty. Love this card. In fact, I think I might just have to keep this one. It may not be going to anyone because it's so pretty. Anyway, this is all I had time to play with because I literally pulled this out today. But super, super cute. Have a look at it. Don't judge a stamp set by its cover. Let's just say that. Oh, hello, Michelle. You like that one? Isn't that gorgeous? Bibbidi bobbidi boo, right? Love it. Okay. So that is the Beautiful Pumpkins bundle. Next, okay, we're moving out of fall. We're moving into winter. Here we go. Next up is Lights of Aurora. So now we're back in the mini catalog. So let me pull it back in here. Here we go. Lights of Aurora, page 36 in your catalog. This paper is so beautiful. If you've ever seen the Northern Lights in real life, this paper captures, well, it doesn't really, I mean, nothing can capture the beauty of the Northern Lights, but it does a pretty darn close job. Absolutely gorgeous. It's 6x6 paper. This pack has 6 different patterns, 8 sheets of each to give you 48 sheets. So it's a little different. Usually 6x6 is 12 patterns, 2 of each. No, 4 of each. But this is 6. So it's great, again, if you're doing a class or mass producing or whatever. Just absolutely gorgeous. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Taking a quick sip of water because I'm talking a lot. Okay. So to start, we have the light. Whoops, my die just popped off my magnet sheet. That one doesn't want to stay because it really doesn't have room. Let's move this one up a bit. There we go. Okay, so Light and Wonder is the name of the bundle. So the stamp set is sentiments only. So large sort of scripty one-word sentiments that you can then pair with different text to kind of build your own sentiments. Okay. So we've got your strength inspires me. May your day be filled with love. May your day be filled with light. Wishing you a year of wonder. Embrace the love, embrace the light, embrace the magic. You get the idea. So lots of possibilities with this set. And then we have these beautiful sort of landscape dies. So we've got two sets of trees. So these are meant to be foreground trees because they're larger, they're closer. And then these are background trees. Okay. This could be snow or the edge of, you know, a lake or whatever. We have mountains. And then we have texture that you can add to the mountain. So this could be snow. It could be just a contrasting shade of cardstock to kind of create interest. This is meant, again, to provide depth. So this is like your stream or your lake that's kind of going between the trees. It could be snowbanks. That's what that one's for. And then we've got 3 cloud dies as well. So really, really so many possibilities with this one. Again, haven't had as much time to play with this as I would like, but let me show you, before I show you some samples, let me show you the DSP. So this DSP was created with chalk pastels, and it so looks like it. Like, look at this gorgeous paper. So stunning. And it really does capture sort of the curtain effects that we get when we see the Northern Lights. They actually were on display this week. Look at that. This one, like, I feel like it needs to be like, have like a cauldron or something, or my Cinderella pumpkin with Cinderella getting her ball gown. And then we've got some more here. And this one, and I love this sort of loopy one. I think that's right side up. With these, it's hard to tell which way is right side up. And then on the back of all of these, we just have more sort of soft washes. So this is actually Blackberry Bliss. I know it probably looks black on the camera, but it's Blackberry Bliss. We've got some Azure Afternoon. Highland, no, Gorgeous Grape, I think. And there's Highland Heather, slightly different. And then we've got some Berry Burst and Lost Lagoon. So lots of possibilities with this beautiful paper. And then we've got equally beautiful embellishments. This Balmy Blue sheer ribbon. I love sheer ribbon. Any sheer ribbon is my kind of ribbon. You can tie really nice tight knots and get really pretty little bows. Look at that. And what I like about sheer ribbon on a card specifically is that it doesn't add a lot of bulk, right? That's not a bulky knot for putting through the mail. And then we have these absolutely stunning frosted iridescent dots. I'm going to take them out of the package because you have to see them up close. Look at these. I'm trying to catch the light. They are just stunning embellishments. I hope these stick around for a long time because they would be gorgeous in the spring for Easter. I love them. All right, so that is the bundle, or the suite rather. Let me show you some project ideas. So here, this one I cased from the catalog. So there's that sort of funnel Northern Lights pattern. So it's super simple. There's DSP with the foreground trees and then a heat embossed sentiment. Here's one. This is a landscape Z fold. So it folds flat like this, but then when we open it up, we get the full Northern Lights image. Here's another one. So I kind of popped up and spotlit the oval. It's matted a little bit. And then added a little detail on the inside as well. Here is a swap card I just received. Let me pull it out of the cellophane. I love the use of the Soft Waves embossing folder in the background. It works so well with the DSP. That was by Kim Crocker. And then one more, another Z fold. Okay, opens like this. So similar idea to this one, just a slightly different orientation. So you get a larger panel in the middle. But again, DSP, my background trees, and then I did a little bit of ink blending on that panel. Okay, so those are some samples. We are going to make a card with this beautiful suite. Let me shove these back in the bag so I don't lose them. And we're going to make this one. Isn't that DSP gorgeous, Louise? Yeah. Yeah, Arlene, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, here is our make and take for tonight. So this is the one that we're going to make. So I wanted to show you how to sort of layer the different die cuts to get sort of a landscape look. All right. So I started with a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of that gorgeous DSP. You could use any one of the patterns. They all work equally well. And then I started, when I cut these pieces out, I started with a 5¼ by 4 inch piece, or maybe it was 4¼ piece of Blackberry Bliss DSP or cardstock. Actually, no, I think this is 5½. I like to have it a little bit wider than what I'm actually going to want, because then I can adjust a little bit. But I ran both dies through at once. So I got my trees and I got my mountains in one pass. Okay. Then we also have our sort of detail piece to add to our mountains. So just see how this is going to kind of layer over here and add some snow to our mountain scene. Okay, so we're going to start by gluing the mountains on first. So I'm just going to take and stick this on. And it's going to go, I don't know, about 1¼ inch maybe, up 1.5 inches from the bottom. No, it's going to go down a little. I want to see more of those gorgeous northern lights. It's going to be 1 inch. And then we're going to add our snow. I'm not really worried about the fact that this isn't going to cover. It's not going to extend all the way. It's not a big deal because our trees are going to hide that. Okay. So yeah, we're going to stick that on right there. Just like that. And then while I'm here, I'm going to trim, okay? When you are layering cardstock like this, you don't want to get too many layers before you trim any excess, because then it becomes really, really hard to get your scissors through. So my limit is usually 2 layers, and then I trim. Okay, so there we go. There's our mountains, and then our trees are going to go on right about there. And where is my snow? Where did my snow go? Tell me I did not throw out my snow. I know I cut snow. Where'd it go? I have a feeling it may have landed in the trash. Is this it? Nope. It's a piece that came out of this. Where did it go? Oh no! I lost my snow. All right, we're going to cut another one. I don't know where it went. But we can't not have snow. Let's just cut another one of these real quick. No sooner finish cutting it and then I find the piece. Isn't that always the way? So this is our snow. Okay, so that die leaves this sort of jagged edged piece, and you can arrange this as high or as low as you want. So I generally look at this little sort of centerpiece and I line it up kind of in that sort of clearing between my trees. That's kind of what I go for. So we're going to glue our trees on. Let me get my last little bits out of there. Now, when I'm gluing these trees, because these are so dainty, I do have to add a little bit of liquid glue at the tips. You certainly could add adhesive sheets to these if you wanted to. I don't really feel like it's necessary because they're not super detailed, and I don't need to really glue all of it. But you do need to add a little bit, okay, so that they lay flat. All right, so we're going to pop these on right about there. Looks good. I want to make sure my trees are straight. We're not going to have crooked trees. Okay, and then I am going to trim. So again, flip it over. Cut off my excess. Now this one tree is going to be a problem because I've got half on and half off. There we go. And then just along the bottom here to make sure that we get a nice clean edge. There we go. All right, so now last step is to add our snow. So the snow, as I said, I'm going to kind of line it up so that that little sort of hook there meets kind of where that clearing is in the tree. So that's going to go right about there. So I'm just going to put a bit of seal around along the top edge. And we're going to pop that on. Right about there. And then once again, we're going to trim. And had I brought my guillotine, this would go a lot faster. I usually use my guillotine trimmer to trim these long edges. But that's okay. We'll just trim it with our snips. So you just use the edge of your DSP as a guide, and you can get a nice straight cut. You don't need a trimmer. There we go. Isn't that pretty? So simple. All right, now we are going to do a little bit of spattering. So if you guys are worried about mess, this is not a step you need to do, but I like the texture that it adds to this scene. So I'm going to start with my Blackberry Bliss ink, or not ink, Stampin' Right marker, which by the way are on the last chance list. These are being discontinued. Makes me sad. I'm glad I have them in all the colors because I love using them for this kind of technique. So I'm going to take my brush tip and I'm just going to flick. You do not have to flick hard. I know people are going to be worried about wrecking their brush tip. I've been doing this technique for like ever, and it has not yet wrecked my brush tips. You don't need to press really hard against the lid. If you press really hard, then yeah, it will damage your tips, but you don't have to press hard. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with some Wink of Stella, and I'm going to make sure it's kind of flowing there, and then we're going to do a little flicky flicky with the Winky Winky. Get that going again. There we go. Now we're in business. And then I also like to kind of add a bit of wink along sort of the top edge of the snow, and then a little bit to my trees. I'm not being super careful here. I'm just adding a little shimmer to my trees. There we go. So pretty. Okay. I'm going to now layer this. I did remember my mat for this one. This is a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of Blackberry Bliss cardstock. So we're going to glue our panel onto the mat. Pop it on there. There we go. And then that is going to get glued to a thick basic white card base. 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we'll just crisp that up. A little bit more glue. There we are. And then really, I mean, how beautiful is that? Is that not just a gorgeous scene? Like it's just die cuts and paper. We're going to now stamp a sentiment. So this is one of the sentiments from the Light and Wonder stamp set. I'm going to stamp it in Blackberry Bliss on a little 1/2-inch scrap of white cardstock. And then we're going to trim the ends. I'm not going to take the time to cut banner ends, so I'm just going to angle these. 1 and 2. And then we're going to add just a little bit of the ribbon detail. So on the back of my strip here, I'm going to put some seal. And then I'm going to trim off my pretty little bow. I'll use it on something. But I'm going to take my sheer ribbon, and I'm just going to start at a bit of an angle. Let me move this over so you can see a bit better. There we go. And I'm basically kind of zigzagging it. I'm making like little waves. It doesn't have to be even. It doesn't have to be neat or measured. It's just a little hint of ribbon there. And then again, I'll cut this at an angle as well. Shorten that up a little bit. There you go. Get just a little, can you see that? All right, so we're going to add some dimensionals to the back of this. Now I'm going to use a full length of the edge piece here and really lock down that ribbon. We'll get rid of our backing. Come in. And then pop this on. Hopefully straight. It's always a challenge when I'm seated. And then the last touch is some of these gorgeous embellishments. So I'm going to use, what did I use? I think I used purple. So use a couple of the purple ones. They look like they're glowing. They look like they're like lit from the inside, these embellishments. They're so pretty, honestly. Like, oh, I wish you could see them. The camera doesn't do them justice. They're just so pretty. All right, that is that. Let's get all of this out of the way. What did I do on the inside of this one? Nothing. Okay, let's move on. All right, that is number 3. Look at that. We're rolling. And we're 1 hour in. Look at that. Okay, we're good. I was planning for 2 hours and I think we're on schedule. Love it when my lesson plan comes together. Okay. Next up, what's on my list? Okay, this is near and dear to my heart. In the mini catalog, Stampin' Up! Tends to do a product give back in the mini catalog, but it is so this particular year's product give back is in support of breast cancer. Not in support of those fighting breast cancer. Nobody supports breast cancer. It's a horrible disease. But if you look on page 4 of the mini catalog, you will see the Love and Courage stamp set. $4 from the sale of this set is donated to breast cancer organizations in each market. So Canadian purchases will go to Canadian organizations and etc. So if you're in the US, when you buy this set, it will go to US. Okay. But I wanted to encourage the purchase of this stamp set to encourage the donations. So here's the set. I'll show it to you. It's beautiful. If you caught my live last week, I was featuring the Sunflowers 3D embossing folder. And I used this stamp on a couple of projects because I love that sunflower. But I designed 4 cards to incent the purchase of this stamp set because I really want to see lots of money raised for in support of those fighting breast cancer. So it's a free tutorial for those outside of Canada. You'll get the tutorial. It's not free. What am I saying? It's a $10 tutorial. 100% of the cost will be donated to the Canadian Cancer Society. It's not free. It's free for me. I'm not making any money on this. I really want to see Stampin' Up! Donate lots and lots of money to breast cancer support. So I will show you the cards that are part of this. So you will get the tutorial, and if you're in Canada, you actually get the card kits to make these. I can't ship product across international borders, so I'm sorry, US people. I can't offer you the card kits, but I can offer you the tutorial. All right, so here we go. Here's one. Using some of the two-tone cardstock. Here's another. It's okay to not be okay. And number 3. And number 4. Friends don't let friends fight cancer alone. All right, so there you go. You will get kits for all 4 of those cards and a printed tutorial as to how to put them together. Okay, with the purchase of the Love and Courage stamp set from my online store. All right, thank you. Okay, yes, Louise, I know you have a very personal connection to this horrible disease. All right, let's move on. What is next? Oh, we're going back to online exclusives for a few minutes. Okay. So how many of you have checked out the online exclusives today? Because like I said, we all get so excited to see the new mini and to order from the new mini. We kind of forget that there's more than just the mini. So the Delicate Pine Snowflakes suite, it's kind of an oddly named suite, is absolutely stunning. Oh my goodness, I love this paper. I love I'm just going to show it to you and stop talking. So the DSP in this suite is absolutely like off the charts beautiful. Look at these gorgeous patterns. So actually the dies in this, I'll show you the dies in a minute, will cut out these snowflakes in this, or you can just use it as a background. Look how beautiful. So pretty. And then there's actually a second pattern that's very similar. This is all I have left because I used it for my swaps. It's very similar to this one, but it doesn't have the snowflake pattern. It's just sort of greenery. Okay. All right. And then we have this pattern, which also can be cut out with the dies. Look at this. So pretty. These can all be cut with the dies as well. Love this one. And then we have this large one, which would make a beautiful scrapbook page. All right. And then when we flip them over, of course, we have, no, I'm not going to say more subdued, but less colorful patterns. So we have this one, which has just the sort of, no, I'm not, there are snowflakes, but I'm not sure how to describe this. It's pretty peacock with secret sea and white. They're very pretty. And then we also have this one, which is shaded spruce and white, sort of a distressed snowflake pattern. And then we have these ones. So have you ever played with watercolor paper and ink and water and salt? If you do, this is what you get. Salt pulls draws the water into it, and you end up with this pattern that looks like frost or snow. And I just think they're so beautiful. Make amazing backgrounds. So many things that you can do with those patterns. And then, of course, my little itty bitty piece that I only have a little bit left. This is another sort of green, garden green with white snowflakes against it. I wish I had a full sheet of this. It's really hard to show you on that little bit. All right. So that is the DSP. It honestly, the bundle is what I was like, holy cow, look at this bundle. It is stunning. It's a huge stamp set. You get 14 stamps. Large snowflake, medium, small, and then these little these are like pine needles, and this is a spruce branch. And then we get an individual branch. We got pine cones. These little guys are to fill in the gaps in these snowflakes. We're going to use them in a minute. And then some sentiments. But look at these dies. This is a huge set of dies. So this large snowflake and this one, they cut out these two. Okay, as well as several images from the DSP. There's a little bitty snowflake that cuts this one. This one is this. And then we have these guys actually cut peek-through windows. I will show you on a project or on a sample in a minute. So all of these will cut peek-through windows in your snowflakes. And then we have pine branches, and these are designed to layer behind, and you can cut 3 of them to get what looks like a snowflake shape behind your stamped snowflake, if that makes sense. I'll show you on a sample. Lots of extra dies in this one. Sorry. Too much talking. You get some berries. We got our pine cones, just a gorgeous, gorgeous bundle. And that, then we have our shaded spruce 7/8 inch ribbon. So, so pretty. It is double-sided, so you can use both sides. And then we also, look at these gems. I've used a lot of them, can you tell? These are called faceted snowflakes. So I've used a lot of the red. I used them on my swaps, but they come in red, pretty peacock, and the white for silver. They're actually snowflake shaped. So pretty. All right, let me show you some projects. My voice is not very happy with me tonight. Good thing I didn't teach all day. All right, so here we go. So this is one that I did where I used the peek-through die. Remember how I was saying that there are dies that cut? So this was the medium-sized snowflake. And then I used the peek-through die to cut the little windows in it. And then I layered the die-cut pine branches. Isn't that cool? I love that look. And then I'm not sure. Oh, I know. I was gonna say, I'm not sure why this one is in here. I know why, because I used the DSP. And so this all dies from the set and images from the set, but not a snowflake in sight. So I made this pretty little swag arrangement using the dies without using the snowflakes. Okay. So that's that one. Here's another one. So this is where I layered those pine branches behind the stamped snowflakes to add fullness. And then this was my swap card. You can see why I used a lot of that. that pattern. So again, stamped snowflake, added some of my little red gems. There we go. All right, and we're gonna make one with this set. So let's get this out of the way. And I'll pull out what we're gonna make. All right, here we go. So we're gonna work on this one. This looks a lot more complex than it is. It's really quite simple. Just because we're using some of this gorgeous DSP. All right, so we're gonna start by stamping, and I just realized I did not mount that pine branch stamp. So we're gonna do that. Grab that branch, and I probably thought it was part of the DSP, actually, but I thought. Let's grab a block. All right, so we're gonna start with this piece. It is 4 by 5¼ inches, and I'm going to stamp all the way around with this little pine branch stamp and shaded spruce ink. Okay, so the key here is to rotate your stamp or your paper so it doesn't look all the same, right? Pine branches grow kind of randomly, so we don't want it to look matchy-matchy and like they're all arranged. So some are going to be on farther, some not. There we go. Okay. Now, do you see how this is a different color? We're actually going to do a little bit of ink blending. As soon as I figure out what I did with my green, there it is. It's hiding. My blending brush. So I'm going to come in. I think I probably got Old Olive or something on here. I'm going to actually pick up some of the shaded spruce ink, and we're going to come on around the edges and blend a little bit of the shaded spruce. And I absolutely love what it does to the DSP. It just creates this really cool sort of ombre effect with it lighter in the middle and darker around the edges. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I love it. Sorry, Lisa. You may want to stop watching now. Okay. So that's our backdrop. We're going to layer that on some cherry cobbler cardstock. So this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Before we do that, we're going to add some of our gorgeous green ribbon here. Actually, we can't do that. We have to layer our other pieces first. What am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, let's set these aside for a minute. All right, so here is some of that snowflake patterned words are hard. You know what I'm talking about. That's the backside. Okay, so this is 3 by 4 inches, and then my cherry cobbler piece is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. So we're going to add a little glue here and layer those. And I love the way the cherry cobbler just pulls the red in the DSP. Really makes those berries pop. Okay, and then that is going to get glued centered onto our stamped panel. Just like that. Now we can add our ribbon. All right, so our ribbon is going to lay across the front. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of seal just to tack this in place, because this is fairly wide ribbon. It's 7/8 of an inch. It's going to go on, I don't know, about 3/4 of an inch down from the top of that center panel. I'm going to flip this over, add a bit of seal, and then I have to look at this to make sure it is straight. It is very easy to get this crooked, and once it's crooked, it's really obviously crooked. So we're going to look at that, just make sure that it's straight, and tack that down. Okay, now we can layer it on our cherry cobbler panel. So we'll add a little bit of seal. I like to use seal when I've got large ribbon on the back because I can run the seal right over top. And layer that. Oh, that's not a very big border. My measurements are a bit off. That's all right. Okay, now we're going to stamp our snowflake. So I've got a blank and I've got my stamp. We are going to stamp this in Shaded Spruce. So we'll ink that up, make sure it's well inked. And then line up our blank. The nice thing about these snowflakes is they're symmetrical, so they're pretty easy to line up. And then we'll just press with the block. And there we get that beautiful snowflake image. Isn't it pretty? All right, now we're going to add a little bit more fullness to this image using this little itty bitty. I'll show you on the stamp set. It's too hard to see when it's this little guy right here. We're going to add a little bit of fullness with some Old Olive ink. So I'm just going to stamp in those gaps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know what the heck my husband's watching out there, but he is laughing his butt off. I don't know if you can hear him, but he is loud. Oh, are you like that? Do you hear somebody laughing? It just makes you laugh. I don't know. All right, so I have 2 of these little, they look kind of funny, these little die cut pieces. Just a word to the wise, use great care when you're removing these from the dies. They are quite delicate. If you pull too hard, you will tear right here. What I have started using is actually a little bit of parchment paper because then they just fall out. All right, but they are a little tricky to get out of the die. So handle with care. So I'm snipping these off because we're going to use these. I'm going to adhere them kind of around the perimeter of my snowflake. So we're just going to kind of add some seal all the way around. And then we're going to go 1. I like to do opposites first. 2, 3, and 4. Isn't that pretty? Just makes it, here, I'll hold that up closer so you can see. All right. Okay, you can't hear him, Charlie? All right, he'll be happy to know that. Okay, we're going to pop that up with some dimensionals. I'm down to using my edge pieces here. We are running on empty. I may have to grab another sheet of them before we're done here. We'll see how it goes. Pop that guy on there. All right, I'm using quite a few dimensionals here because I am gluing it to the ribbon, and it is a little bit harder to adhere things to ribbon, so I do have to make sure that it is well secured. And then that is going to go on, centered over my ribbon. And then I have just a little scrap, 1/2-inch piece of white cardstock. We're going to stamp Celebrate the Season in Cherry Cobbler ink. So there's our sentiment. And then I've already got one end cut at an angle, so we'll cut the other end. These are kind of opposite to what I had on my sample, but it doesn't really matter. An angle is an angle. So that is just going to kind of be centered on our card. So I'm kind of looking at this panel in behind to center it. I'm not paying really attention to the snowflake. So I'm going to put some seal where it's going to overlap my snowflake. I'm going to put a little bit of an edge where it's going to be hanging off so it lies nice and flat. And not stick it to my fingers. So I'm centering it on the ribbon and then sort of on the card front. Does that make sense? All right, we're going to glue this to a 5.5 by 8.5 inch card base, scored at 4 1/4. Again, this is thick basic white. I like to use the thick white for my card bases. It's just a little bit sturdier than the regular white. So we'll pop that on. And here I am trying to glue white on white. I'm so bad at this. There we go. And then let's grab some of those pretty gems. And we'll add a couple of the pretty peacock snowflakes here. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Yes, you are right. It looks really like rich and luxurious. The DSP is absolutely stunning. Like hands down, totally gorgeous DSP. All right, there you go. You like that one? All right. We are in the home stretch. We got 2 more to do. I got a few more bundles to show you, but 2 more make and takes. All right, what's next? All right, sticking with the online exclusives. Let's get rid of the, I just saw the DSP, my grid paper here in the camera. Let's get some fresh. It's looking a little grimy. Okay. Next up is the Modern Christmas Suite. Now I just realized I've got stamps still here from the last card, so let's get those out of the way. Okay. Modern Christmas. So I have to say, when I first saw black and white DSP for Christmas, I was like, not sure. I like my reds and greens. I'm not opposed to like non-traditional colors, but just black and white, I felt like was a little, I don't know. It didn't grab me. But now that I've had some fun playing with it and added some color, I love it. So let me show you this DSP. So we've got black and white and gold. Lots of fun sort of modern patterns. It's aptly named. So there is one. So that's gold stars on black. Oh, here's one with a hole out of it. I punched some trees out of that one. And it's a mistletoe. Easy to color this one. We've got some stripes. I love this one. This one is very like 1970s to me. This is like my childhood. Kind of funky disco. Oh, there's an intact sheet, the same pattern. And then here is the gold Christmas ornaments. Now I have to say, at first I was like, I don't really like this. It's too much gold. Wait till you see what I did with it. Okay. On the back, we have much more subdued, all black and white patterns. I like these little trees. They're kind of fun, scribbly, hand-drawn trees. We've got some polka dots with a hole in the middle. I love this fa la la pattern. So fun. We've got, I don't even know what this is. Dots, dotted lines. We've got squiggly lines. And then we've got a nice plaid. This would be fun to actually add some color to as well. All right, so this is the DSP. Now let me show you the bundle. So we have the Ornamental Christmas Bundle. So love this Merry Christmas sentiment. This may be my favorite Merry Christmas we've had in a long time. It's nice and big. I will show you. It's a nice big sentiment. We've got a couple of trees. We've got our little swags, our tinsel. We've got a star for our tree, and then some other sentiments. So simple little stamp set, cute little die set. Love this ornamental star, cut from gold foil. It looks absolutely stunning. I'll show you some samples in a minute. These are intended to create ornaments, right? So we've got our trees, our dies that cut out the trees, and then we can make ornaments. These are the tops of our ornaments, right? Our ornament caps or hooks or hangers or whatever you want to call them. These just add to that sort of funky modern, mid-century modern 1960s kind of vibe. And then this is actually intended to be a decorative strip that you can add to your ornaments. Okay, so that is the bundle. And then we have, I love this twine. Okay, we've carried baker's twine in the past that had a thread of gold in it as well. Did not love it because it all separated. This stuff does not separate. Look at, do you see the gold thread coming off there? No, you do not. Why? Because it is so tightly wound, the gold actually stays wound with the white or the black. Very happy with this twine. I'm probably going to buy several packages because I really, really like it. All right. Let me show you some samples. Here we go. So remember how I said I wanted to add color? So these are the ornaments from that sheet that was all gold with the white ornaments. All I did is I took and I dragged my real red ink pad across it and colored the ornaments. This is the stripe that I colored with my real red ink pad. What a difference that makes. My background is that swag stamp that I stamped in heat embossed in gold. Isn't that fun? So fun. Okay, so then I'm like, okay, well, let's try a different color. So this is Lemon Lime Twist, totally non-traditional green, but totally works. I used, again, the trick. I inked my DSP, just dragged my Lemon Lime Twist ink pad across my DSP, and look at that beautiful star. Isn't that pretty? And then let me give a shout out to this embossing folder. So I wasn't going to feature it tonight, but since it's on this card, I'm going to show it to you. So we have the Christmas Words hybrid embossing folder. It is a typical hybrid. You take your die, you pop it into the lid. Somehow, wait a minute. Let's make sure we get it right. There we go. And it kind of clicks in. Put your cardstock in, run it through. Now, do not use regular thickness basic white. It is not thick enough to get a deeply embossed image. However, colored cardstock, thick basic white cardstock, you get amazing die cut embossed images, okay, or sentiments, I should say. But you can also use this as just an embossing folder with a whole bunch of different sentiments on it. So that's what I use for my background on this card. It's got all kinds of different little Christmas sentiments. Okay, so that is that one. Here is another one. This one's in Summer Splash. I was going for all the fun and funky bright colors. Okay, so again, there's the Fa La La. Again, inked it with my, actually, this one I think I used a blending brush because there wasn't that much white. I just used a blending brush to ink it. And then my tree is heat embossed in black. Okay. And then here's one more. This was another swap I received. So this is that mistletoe DSP, and then opens like that. Isn't that fun? Fun, fun, fun. All right, so that is the modern Christmas suite. We are going to make a card because, you know, that's why we're here. So this one is going to be super quick because it's all heat embossed. I did it all ahead of time. All right, so here we go. There is our card we're going to make. Stuck with black, white, and gold. I went true to the colors in the suite. So I've got lots of little bits here to dump out. And again, I used a bunch of different patterns of DSP. So starting with a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of the black with the stars. And then I have a, what is this? 2.5 by 4 stripe. And then a 2 by 4 trees. So we're going to layer the trees on the stripe. So we see about a, I don't know, 1/4 inch above and below. And it's always good to start with things straight and use your grid paper. It is your friend. At least it's my friend. All right. And then again, a little bit more glue. We're going to layer that on our background. About an inch up from the bottom. Isn't that like dramatic? I love that look. It's so pretty. All right, now I have, this is the large circle from the die set. It's meant to be an ornament, but it also just works great as a circle. When it's cut, it ends up being 2 7/8 of an inch, which layers quite nicely on the largest circle from the Stylish Shapes dies. You can see I used my circle to cut some other things as well, but we're going to hide that. So we're going to glue this on to our gold. The sentiment is heat embossing gold, I should mention. That's why it's done ahead of time. I just didn't want to have my embossing gun out with everything else I've got going on here. All right, so we're going to stick this onto our card pretty much in the middle, maybe a little bit towards the right. So we'll pop that over, and it's going to be centered on my DSP in the background. So right about there. Then I'm going to grab some of my black baker's twine. And we're going to add some across the front here. So I want a double thickness. I absolutely love the way this stuff does not uncoil. It is the bomb. All right. So that's going to go kind of there-ish. Where's my glue dots? This is the first time I've used glue dots tonight, you guys. I'm surprised nobody has said anything. Usually my glue dots are like my go-to. I haven't used a lot of ribbon. And then lay that across, and again, some more glue dots on the other side to secure it. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and glue that onto our card base. This is 4 1/4 by 11. So different orientation. Just to switch it up a little. And we're going to glue this again with a little bit of seal. I like to use seal whenever I'm dealing with foil. Using liquid glue is a recipe for sticky, gluey fingers on foil that shows all of your sticky, gluey mess. So I like to use the seal. It's a little bit more forgiving. All right, now we're going to take one of our trees. This is just cut from the DSP. That one is going to get sort of popped up there. So we're going to add. Oh, will we make it? Will we make it with our few remaining dimensionals? I'm going to add some minis. I should really be using my black ones. I'll use black ones on the next one. Come on, you guys. Yes, Louise, are you proud of me? I'm learning. All right, so there's one tree, and it's pretty with just the one tree, but then I wanted to get something that was stamped. So this little guy we're going to decorate before we stick him on. So these little circles are from that strip die that is meant to be sort of an embellishment on your ornament. So I'm just going to take these little gold circles and stick them onto some glue dots. There should be more gold circles. I think I lost a few. Oh, there's one over there. This is the easiest way to navigate these little fiddly bits. So then I can just pick them up right off of my strip of glue dots here. And oops, scratched them. There we go. I'm missing an ornament. That's okay. We're going to add a star at the top. Just like that. And then that is actually going to get popped as well. Now I know many of us have a thing about double popping. I don't have a problem with double popping. I just put them in the mail. They squish when they go through. They squish. Dimensionals are foam, so I have no problem with double popping. Now I am going to take care that I only put dimensionals on the side that's actually going to overlap my previous tree because I want it to lie flat. So there we go. And then a little bow. And I like to make big loopy bows with this twine. It's such beautiful twine. I love this twine. Have I mentioned that yet? Oh, I just untied my bow. I think there's glue on my scissors. Let's fix that, shall we? And it frayed my... Yeah, not so good. There we go. We'll fix. There we go. All right. We're going to take a little glue dot, roll it into a big old booger. And I'm going to stick this right where the twine and the edge of the circle meet. And then that's going to go in just like that. You like that? Isn't that fun and funky? So different. I got to say, this paper is really growing on me. I was not 100% sold, but I think I'm sold now. All right. Let's get that one out of the way. Few more to go, guys. Are you with me? You still there? Okay. Here we go. Next up, we have, North Pole delivery. This is a fun suite. Let me show you in the catalog first, if I can find my catalog. I think it's buried. There it is. All right. North Pole delivery. Page 28. Actually, I think it starts on 27. No, it does. It starts on 28. Super, super cute. Again, it was one of those, okay, I don't have kids. I don't need cutesy. So fun. So fun. I'm going to show you this little envelope. Oh, okay. Let me show you. Okay. Lots of goodies. All right, let's start with the Jolly Delivery Bundle. So this bundle not only includes dies that cut the stamped images, but also a really fun little gift box die. I'm going to show you it in a moment. And you can create interchangeable closures. So basically the way these work, you nestle this little, whatever closure you want in the flap here, run it through, and you can switch it out. So there's a heart, a circle, and a star. So cute. So lots and lots of options for the stamped images. You can color them. You can die cut from the DSP. We've got some cute little sentiments. Just really fun. I'm partial to the kitty delivering Christmas cards wearing antlers. Very, very sweet. So that is the bundle. The DSP is just too cute. So it includes 2 sheets of die cut pieces. And oh my gosh, there are so many die cut pieces. When I got this, opened my first pack, I just popped out all of the die cut pieces because I wanted to see how many there were and what I could do with them. Oh my goodness, there are so many. So we have, storefronts, we've got delivery trucks, we've got lots of mailboxes, we've got presents, we've got envelopes, we've got stamps. And then we have on the second sheet, we have all of our critters. So bears and Bernies, mountain dogs, and golden retrievers, and dachshunds, and just all kinds of things. Even a little hedgehog. We've got a badger. So, so cute. There we go. There are our kitties. Super cute die cut pieces. But then we also have great patterns on the other sheets. So we've got sort of a streetscape. We've got, let me do it this way. Streetscape, we've got lots of critters. Many of these can be cut out with the dies. Also really easy to fussy cut. I know that's a dirty word to some of us. We have this cute sort of envelope and gifts pattern. I like that these are kind of vintage looking. And then more critters. Again, some of these can be cut out with the dies. And then we've got our delivery trucks. No Yorkie, Louise. Sad to say, no Yorkie. We've got a Corgi, no Yorkie. All right, so that is the front sides. And then the back sides, we have even more fun patterns. So we've got mailboxes. We've got this sort of distressed polka dot. I love this pattern. It's just a polka dot in Pool Party. We've got a distressed grid. I love all of the envelopes. It's like Santa's mailbag. And then we've got all kinds of postmarks and stamps. Super cute. So, of course, I had to use my perennial postage dies with this set. It was required. I'll show you some samples in a sec. I almost forgot. I got to show you the embellishments. So we have the deer dots, which coordinate with this suite. So we've got Pool Party, Petal Pink. No. Let me try that again. Poppy Parade, Petal Pink, Pool Party. What were they thinking putting 3 P color names on the same sheet? And then Garden Green. Okay, so those are the dots. And then we have this, what do they call this? Fuzzy trim or something? Fluffy trim. Now, this is not something you will tie a bow with. This is quite thick. It's like something that you might have had as trim on a snowsuit or on a skating costume when I was a kid, maybe. It's quite heavyweight. It's meant really to be used as trim, not as ribbon. Okay, so this is not something that you would use to tie a bow. You can't tie a bow with it. It's too heavy. All right, now let me show you some projects. I had some fun with this one. I get them all out of the envelope. All right, so let's start with the little treat boxes. So the die cuts these cute little envelope boxes. So you can see the closure here. So you pinch this, it opens up, and you can put your little treats in there. I haven't got treats yet. You could make little gift tags to put in there. That would be a cute little gifty item. You could probably get some Hershey nuggets in there. And then to close it, you pinch again, feed them through, and then sort of butterfly it. It's easier to do when you actually have something in the envelopes. But there's one, and then this one I stamped and colored the image instead of using DSP. Okay, the little heart. So cute. Yeah, fur on a Santa suit. Yes, too small for a gift card. Let me just grab a gift card. Can you see it's just a little bit too short? There, you can see it's a little small. Okay, but great for little chocolate treats. Okay, so here are some fun ideas. So this was a swap card I received. I just got this today. I love it so much. Perennial postage is your friend. This is another swap card I received today. And then this is one that I did. So all of these are from those die cut pieces. Remember how I said you get 1 million? I wasn't kidding. Okay, and then that's the inside. Here's another one. So there's some of the trim. Can you see it? It's just a little texture, a little fuzzy, like a little scarf. Okay. Here's another one. No critters on that one. And then again, more perennial postage. And again, I use that Christmas Words. Is it Christmas Words? Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. The hybrid embossing folder. Look at the little squirrel and the little mousey. So cute. And then here's another one. Really simple. Just stamped on the DSP. Used die cut DSP postage stamps. Okay. Yes, Lena has been super busy, Lisa. Lena could be busy because she didn't have to get ready for school. It was great. I've just been hiding in my studio playing with paper. All right, let's get those out of the way. I do not have a make and take for this one. Are you shocked? All right, let's get this out of the way. We have one more. I saved the best for last. Let me bring back my catalog here. So our last suite is sort of the showpiece suite in the catalog this year. It's featured on the front of the catalog. It is the Traditions of Christmas suite. It starts on page 21. This suite gets so much real estate in this catalog, like unbelievable. So gorgeous paper, gorgeous bundle, gorgeous embellishments. So many things that you can do with this one. Like, look at how much real estate. It goes on and on. So many ideas. Yeah, it goes all the way to page 27. So check out that suite. I'm going to show it to you now. Okay. Let's move some things out of the way. So again, mega suites, 2 bundles. We have the traditional labels, sentiment only bundle. Has fantastic label dies. Like, I love them. I was very sad when the mixed labels sold out. I was devastated actually because they were my go-to labels. These are a little bit bigger, but they're so pretty. And of course, so many options for greetings. And then we have the image set called Christmas Greenery. So we've got, this is 2-step stamping. Okay. At first I was like, what the heck is with all these little bits? It's to fill in these images. So if you don't like to color, you don't have to. You can fill them all in with stamps. I'll show you a card that I did. So stamp your outline, and then all of these images are used to fill in the line art. Okay. This little guy adds color to the greenery. These are the centers for your flowers. Like, amazing. So that is the stamp set. And then of course we have dies that cut out the line art images. And then these are huge. Look at the size of that pine branch. So awesome for card making, home decor, but also for scrapbooking. They're larger scale. So many options with these. Large holly leaves, large, beautiful leafy branch. Lots of possibilities. So those are the bundles. And then the DSP is really the showpiece, right? So here we go. Get ready. Look at this. It's so pretty. I could just I don't know. Maybe I'll frame it and hang it on my wall for Christmas or something. So I actually have DSP framed in my studio. I should mention that. Look at this. Oh, so pretty. Here's another one. Okay, now these last two, the dies actually cut out the images. So the dies will cut this one. We're going to use this on a card in a moment. And they also cut this large spray. Okay. And then on the back, of course, we have more subdued patterns. So we've got a plaid. We've got a red polka dot. We've got a stripe in old olive. I know, Louise, it is already hard to cut into, but I mean, you buy it to use it, right? Right. We've got an old olive plaid. Now, this is my cautionary tale. Look at this. See that? Do you want to know what happens? You know when you open the DSP pack and there's a sticky label or edge on it? I accidentally laid my DSP on the sticky edge. And that's what happened. It's a good thing. I love the front. But just make sure you close your package before you lay your DSP on top. That's my cautionary tale. And then we have another, this is Secret Sea stripe. Okay, so that is the gorgeous paper. We also have the traditional wreath embossing folder. Now, this is a 6x6 folder. It does create a wreath pattern, which is actually too large to put on a standard card front. We're actually going to use it on our make and take, so you'll see how I use it. But if you are a scrapbooker or you like to make sort of large scale square cards, this is for you. Okay. Now, I also want to mention this is the suite I'll be using for my virtual retreat in November. So I just opened registration today. You're going to want to check it out. You're going to get lots of the awesome consumable products in this suite. And we're going to make 9 gorgeous projects. All right. So our embellishments in this suite are the shiny real red ribbon. And when I hear shiny, I think like plasticky. It's not. It's satiny. It's very pretty. Now, it is single-sided. Okay. Let me just flip this over so you can see the reverse side. There. Can you see the difference? Look at my inky fingers. So when you're tying bows, you do have to take care because you will have different front and back. Okay. And then finally, we have these traditional sparkling sequins in red, green, blue, and gold. All right. So let's show you a few samples. And then we're going to do one last project together. All right. Oh, I had fun with this suite. Here we go. This is all about the DSP. Okay. Here's one this is the one that I stamped and I did the 2-step stamping. So I used those solid images to fill in the stamped image. Yet another product I don't have time to talk about tonight, but we have dies that cut Christmas words. Beautiful. Here's another one. Hi, Jamie from Utah. Welcome. Here's another one. This one is a quadruple Z folds. Opens like that. And of course, has a spot to write on the back. And then, last but not least, another swap. So this one is a gatefold. Kind of a cool way to make a gatefold. So this one, again, they've used the wreath, but it's more like a swag on the front of the card to add texture. So pretty. So there are some samples. I have more, but I can't show you because they're for my retreat. They're top secrets. All right, so we're going to make a card though. So let me pull in my pieces here. We're going to make this one. All right, so I did use that wreath folder to emboss the card front. So this is a standard 4x5 1/4" piece of basic white card front. And I centered it so that the opening of the wreath was centered on the panel. Okay. So then I'm going to come in with some Mossy Meadow ink and my blending brush. I'm just going to get rid of some of the shaded spruce that was in there from before. And we're going to apply a little bit of Mossy Meadow. Now, I do not need to apply a lot of pressure here to get that raised image to pop. I'm not worrying about the center because it's going to pretty much be covered anyway. But adding color, or adding ink rather, really makes that pattern sort of emerge. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Look at that gorgeous detail. And it's a 3D folder, so you get lots of depth in the embossed image. There we go. Love it. Yeah, I think so too, Julie. I think it does look good going off the edges. So it'll work on a regular card. It doesn't necessarily read as a wreath, or maybe it reads as a zoomed in wreath, but I think it's a really pretty folder. All right, so I have lots of bits here. I have an image that I die cut from the DSP. I have 2 of those large pine sprigs, and then I have one of the large sort of leafy branches in gold foil. So we're just going to do a little arranging behind our die cut image here. I'm going to add some seal to the back. And now, because these are so large, we don't need all this length. So I'm going to chop these off. And we're going to have one coming up sort of on the right side. And then chop that as well. Another one coming up on the left, a little bit lower. You don't want them the same height. And then again, I'm going to chop this off because we do not need all of that. You don't throw these pieces out, right? You can use all of these on other things. Trust me. All right, so a little bit more. And we'll add our gold. And there's our little arrangement. And now we're going to add some of that red ribbon. So a way to use this ribbon, if you are not a fan of dealing with ribbon that is not double-sided, this is a way to do it. So I'm going to make sure all the way that my shiny side is out. Okay, so I'm going to start kind of coming across my image at an angle here. And then I'm going to loop this back. And then I'm going to trim. Okay, so this is going to look like it's one piece, but it's actually several pieces, so that I get the same color or the same shade on both sides. So I'm just kind of flipping it over and looping it back again, trimming her off. We're going to add a little more seal. Flip. And then one more little surgery here so that we can add our tail. Okay, and that's going to go at an angle. We want the same angle that we did up top. Okay, just like that. All right. Dimensionals. We'll hold this all in place if we have enough. I think we're going to make it, you guys. We were running on fumes, but I think we're going to have enough. So adding the dimensionals really sort of locks that ribbon into place too. And you don't have to worry that those little pieces that we trimmed are going to come out from behind your image here. Pop that on, make sure we're not going to see that. Yep. Look at that. I even have a little bit left. Get rid of our backings. Oh, you like that little ribbon trick there, Crystal? Yeah, it's a great way to use it so you don't have to worry about the sides. Okay, there we go. My sentiment, I've heat embossed in gold and die cut using the traditional labels dies. So that's just going to go right across there. I am going to put 2 halves or 2 little pieces here on either side. I'm going to put one here and one over here. And that is going to sit right across like that. I'm going to put some seal across where it's going to overlap my image. And yeah. And then that is going to go across just like that. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Love it. All right, a little bit of glue on this guy. Using liquid glue because this is a very deeply embossed image, and if I used seal, it would separate the layers of my cardstock, which we don't want. This real red piece is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Gives us a nice little border. And then, can you guess the measurements of our card base? 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Thick basic white once again. And this time I can use some seal because I'm not dealing with embossed cardstock. We'll pop that on. I gotta grab my sequins. I didn't pull them out. Where are you, sequins? There you are. So I use some of the gold ones here. So there are 3 sizes to these as well. So large, medium, and small. And we'll pop this guy on our little branch there, and there you go. Done. You like that one? All right, everybody, we made it. Look at that, 8:51. My goal was 2 hours. I am 9 minutes shy of 2 hours. Let me get out of this so I can say a proper goodbye. I hope you guys enjoyed this tonight. I certainly have had fun playing with all of these products. There is so much more I could have shared with you, but my voice won't last much longer, and you all need to go to bed. Well, I don't know. Depends where you are in the world, but it is getting late, so I will wrap it there. You're going to want to tune in for my subsequent lives at 5. You'll be seeing lots of these products and more in the coming months. Next week, just a heads up, I will not be live. We're supposed to be going on vacation on Friday. The challenge is that our son is sick and we have a sick cat. So the problem is my son is supposed to take care of the cats, but he's also sick. So we're not sure whether we should be leaving the 2 sickies. So we're kind of on the fence. We may delay by a day or 2, but my hope is that we will be away next week on Tuesday. So I will not be live next Tuesday. Hopefully this is enough. This 2 hours is enough to sustain you for a couple of weeks, and I will be back the following week. I can't remember what number it is. I'm retired. I don't know. 16th, I want to say, but I'm not even sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I will post winners tomorrow. I need to do a little bit of magic to pull all of the commenters from YouTube, and I will post our winners tomorrow. Okay. Thank you for joining me. You can check out my online store to purchase any of these products, and have a great evening. Bye for now.